Hello out there, my name is Laulu Akonde and you are on to Inside Sources. But first, here is my take for today entitled Still on the Killings and a Word on the Power Sector. First, let us talk about the power sector. In what was a clear case of concern for the lack of customer care by some of the discos in our country, the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Babafemi Hamzat, recently called out the disco that raised the monthly bill for him from 2.7 million naira to 27 million naira without any form of notice or discussion. Even when the Deputy Governor sought for an explanation, the disco, that is the electricity distribution company, initially rebuffed his emissary. Now, if they can treat a deputy governor like that, imagine what Nigerians are suffering in the hands of some of these supposedly private business. These electricity companies are private businesses. The deputy governor was therefore right to call the disco out. The discos are business concern and they must act in a way that shows that the customer is king. The discos and the gencos are no longer government parastatals. And so government officials should speak on their inefficiencies publicly as a means of holding them accountable. And still on the power sector, let us encourage the Minister of Power, that is Chief Adebayo Adelabu, who seems to be sounding better these days and is almost fixing the liquidity crisis in that sector. Keep at it, Minister. Nigerians are still dissatisfied, but at least you seem to be getting a good handle on the power sector crisis. Now I come back to the main issue, the recent killings in central Nigeria, where there is now a clear pattern of genocide going on with the intent of taking over people's land and property and community. It is now on record that in Plateau State alone, there are 60 communities where intruders have killed people, scared them off from their land, and forcefully acquired their ancestral lands and occupying it. In this country, that is happening. And this is not just new at all. What is critical now is that all of us Nigerians must raise our voices before this recurrent nature of the massacre will rob all of us of our humanity. If we don't keep raising our voices in outrage and condemnation of these genocidal killings and violent occupation of people's land, we will get used to it, and it will condition us to accept the callousness that is involved in all of it. So today, just so we realize that those who have died or who were killed in this very kind of vicious attacks ever since they started, and currently those who are being killed, they are human beings like us. To that end, I will today read out the names of some of those who were recently slaughtered in their very own homes and communities. 51 of them. These are innocent people who, like all of us, have families, they have relatives, they have friends, and they had aspirations. They had hopes, they enjoyed good food, they loved, and they were loved. But their lives were violently terminated. According to Business Day newspaper that quoted Mr. Joseph Chudu Nyongpa, the National Publicity Secretary of the Irigwe Youth Movement, here are names of the people killed between 12 midnight and 1:30 a.m. on the 14th of April this year in Zike, Kwali District or in Bassa, Plateau State. They are real people. They are not just numbers. You will find men, women, and children. You will discover that there were very old people killed and there were very young ones also massacred mercilessly. Number 1, Musa Dako, 64 years. Daniel Adams, 27 years. Obadiah Usman, 31 years. Zainas James, 22 years. 61 years. Naswa Ive, 5 years. Kaja Daniel, 42 years. Elisha Anthony, 37 years. Hannah Anthony, 67 years. Danlami Random Mula, 49 years. Ado Danjuma, 17 years. Sarah Kula, 16 years. Ishaya Moses, 10 years. Juan Moses, 5 years. Sunday Mangwa, 25 years. And number 51, Moses Bala, 43 years. May their innocent souls and the souls of all innocent people ever butchered in Nigeria rest in peace. And there you have it, Inside Sources. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today we are opening the show with a discussion on what is happening in Plateau State, where we have seen quite a bit of killings that has gripped the attention of the whole country. To join me in that conversation, I have a retired Major General who was actually in 2017-2018 the first commander of Operation Safe Haven. He has also been a sector commander of the UNAMID, United Nations Force in Darfur, and is currently a security consultant for both the AU and ECOWAS. I'd like to welcome retired Major General Tony Atolagbe back to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much.
All right, good to see you again.
Good afternoon, everybody.
All right. So now what is happening in Plateau and Benue states recently is a recurring decimal. Like I said in the introduction, in 2017, I remember, that you were the first commander in Plateau State, actually. Yeah. And I remember as part of the vice president's delegation, I believe in June of 2018 or thereabout, yes. I was there and you were the first commander. You briefed the vice president and quite a lot of things happened. It was this kind of thing that happened then for which the vice president came and he promised justice and even relief. And that problem is still there today, to the extent that the governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, is actually describing it as a genocide. So I wanted to start from there. Now, what's your own reaction to that very strong position of the governor?
Thank you very much. I think the choice of language to use is reserved to the user. So this incident has been happening over the years. Many reports, I'm saying as at 2018, there were more than 20-something reports that have been written on the crisis in the Plateau.
What do you mean reports,
That is committee set up.
Okay, by the government.
Yes. More than 20-something reports. And
up to date.
To this time, we have not seen any table, like a strategic implementation table that says you should have so thing achieved by so time, and then you should also do this by this time, and you should do this by this time. Nothing. Except if somebody knows. I'm aware that there is an agency in Plateau State currently, and even when I was there, and except if federal government has the funding to give them, I'm not sure the state has the capability to handle the problem that is within their domain right now, because it will involve a lot of spending. So, for me, I think we should. It is true that there are killings going on, but it is not untrue that both sides are also killing each other.
So it's some kind of mutual distrust that has developed
between
different groups.
Yes. It's just that perhaps what some people are doing is quite higher than what another group is doing. But
difference is in the degree.
Yes, and that was what what we met and what is still playing on there. And, well, I came into the theater and I told myself that I told them, everybody in a meeting, I told them that if you don't stop, I will start arresting you. Whoever you are, I will arrest you.
That was when you resumed as the first commander.
Yes. After the first 2 months, because I tried to pacify, speak to them, this, then. And that was one of the incidents in which a group killed on this side, then the other people went after the other one. So, and when they were not going to stop, I started picking people. Got some equipment which are not even allocated to my office or to my command. And then I started using this equipment to pick people.
Okay, you started tracking them.
Yes. The first thing that happened was that in one of the sites, one of the locations, one of the scenes where they did some killings, the phone of one of the attackers fell. Okay. So we picked the phone and then we track the person. Then from him, we were able to get 3 other persons, making 4. And straight away, we told those who I reported to the higher command and I was told to transfer them. I told them they were already on their way to Abuja. So, and that's what happened.
Interesting. Because now I remember I believe this was 26 June 2018.
Yes.
When there was this kind of stuff that happened similarly in Plateau State. The vice president was there. He met with the governor. And he even went there with another governor of Kebbi State who was in charge of some agreed funding.
Yes.
And then you were the...
And even all service chiefs, like the chief of air staff was there.
Now, so the point I wanted to make from that is that during that briefing, that you gave and several other people, stakeholders, I found out that the problem is essentially between the Fulani people on the one hand and a lot of the local communities, different, quite a number of different ethnic groups. Now, at that particular time, I think it was the Fulani that had attacked.
Yes.
But then what I learned from that trip was that, so this had become a tit-for-tat attack. The Fulanis were attacked, those other local groups were attacked back, all kinds of killings going on.
Yes.
Right. Now, so what I wanted to ask you now is what the governor had also said, and which a number of other people in in Plateau have said, that yes, it is true that you have this mutual attack going on, but that a particular group, I think some of the Fulani attackers have taken over land permanently in those places. I wanted to ask you that when you were the sector commander, first commander of Operation Save Haven, was something like that? Did you observe that? Or, I want to have an idea of how long that has been going on. The governor said 60 communities. I wanted to ask you, Lieutenant General Atolabi, when you were the first commander, did you observe anything like that? Just for the sake of public interest.
Okay. I want to say that these clashes have been going on for several years.
Yeah.
So there is nothing that somebody is bringing out today that has not been there before. So it's not news that somebody is coming out to say that there are land grabbing going on.
So it's been going on for
It's there. It's just, I just commend the courage of the governor to have come out and said it, because some people are afraid of saying it. And my question is, if you say there is such a thing, is that a government of its own? Have you maybe when they want to resolve any issue, they call them to government house. Don't fight, don't do this. Then everybody, they go. But what measures? Because, A lot of people say things on TV. We will make sure that we provide security. We will step up. We will do this. Go and check. There is nothing that follows. So if you say people are doing this, take steps. Those before this governor, they did not do anything. Okay, you said they are grabbing people's land. Is that in your law in the state?
You are saying that is not legal. That shouldn't have been.
An illegality is taking place in your state.
That what did they do?
And somebody is reporting
as
it.
The political authority.
Who should report it and who should have been handling it? There are steps to be taken. If you know you can, some steps are beyond your powers. Go to the federal might and take the next step and say, sir, can we get a military team? Because this one is beyond the civilian issue. That you say, it's not a commission like River Basin or all this thing that you say you want to go and claim waterway or this thing. No, this one is beyond that. So if you want to do something, put something on the ground and say, this is to be achieved by social time, this is to be achieved. Then you go there, issue land papers to the owners of the real owners of the place.
It's interesting,
because you now see it's more or less like we're just making a show out of this thing. Things need to be done. If you say somebody is doing the wrong thing, then the law has to take its own course. Of course. And this is just, if you check any place that evil is perpetrating in this country, it's because they are not applying law.
Yeah, there's impunity.
You arrest somebody, the law in some state, in a particular state, says that if you catch somebody with arms, at a particular point in time when this problem was on, that you can bail the person with 2,500 naira. So you deploy military, they waste their time, go arrest people. The second day, the man is in his house. And he's going to tell his neighbors that, don't worry, I will kill all of you. You are the ones that went to report me.
So what kind of law is that 2,500, did that actually happen?
Yes. If you arrest somebody with weapons, you see somebody with weapons, you arrest him. The law says that it's 1973 kind of law that
has it been changed?
It was just changed recently.
Oh my God. Interesting. So based on your experience, so you have noticed this thing, you have managed the crisis. What else do you think ought to be done that has not been done, especially in the area of security, to curtail this? I mean, I understand from what you've said that the problems are not just military and security.
Yes.
I mean, there has been so much distrust between all these communities. Yes. A lot of that. So we need a political solution that addresses all those grievances that that all the different groups, share. I think for the most part, is the Fulanis on one hand and then local groups on the other. So there is need to build trust again, to build cohesion, to build unity. That is for the politicians and the political leaders and international rulers. But in terms of the security, what else do you think can be done, retired general? What else can we do? How can we do this job better?
In terms of security?
Yes.
You will recall that in 2018, there were certain measures that were supposed to be taken. There were supposed to be deployments of mobile police into this particular area, this Bokos and Bakinladi area.
Yes.
I'm not sure if they are there.
If it
today,
happened.
If it happened.
Wow.
The fund that was supposed to be given to farmers and the rest of them, which the vice president made public, that this money is here, is lying down, nobody has accessed it. I'm not sure that money was ever released to anybody, because it was supposed to be a kind of be used for the peace building efforts, so that you can use it to pacify both sides.
Rehabilitation,
Yes. But one other thing I was doing that was, if you kill some cows, we'll go to the government and say, okay, just to pacify these people, let's
Pay for the
see whether we can just give them something. Because if you say somebody ate in the farm and then you kill 70-something cows, you say, I mean, it's just reasonable for us to just see how we can pacify the other side. But it doesn't solve the problem.
It doesn't.
Now, to the question. You see, it takes a lot to do the right thing. If you want to do the right thing, you must have courage.
Very true.
If you don't have courage, you just come, they will give you a position, and you just be lying. You will be telling the other side of the story.
You will be telling tales.
Yes. Now, are there people who can stand and face this problem and tell the story exactly as it is to the two sides, that what you are doing is not correct, and that what you are doing is not correct. And this is the midway to go, so that there can be peace.
That's the role of our government, of our political leaders.
Do you understand? So, but this thing has been happening. If you say you are looking for somebody who has courage now, okay, look at all the past leaders. Do you understand? So you see that this thing takes a lot of, I don't know what they are going to do, how we are going, how they want to do it, but there has to. So in doing that, in doing what I'm trying to say, like maybe that you need somebody, a courageous leader or some courageous people to come into this matter and talk to these people and tell them just exactly what it is, because there are remote causes.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And if these remote causes are not addressed, you just go there, say you have resolved the issue. Somebody is doing inside his house.
Yeah.
Are you understanding me? So that is, then from that point, you now say, okay, let me create a committee to facilitate this project.
Right.
When you do that, you now draw a timeline. The issue is, if you do a timeline this year now, is the government that is coming next, are they going to follow it? Because those are some of the challenges that we face in policy implementation. If you say you want to do it this way, another person comes, or maybe another party, they say, please, bring another formula. Do you understand? So that problem, we have it. That's number one. Number two, there are equipment that we can use to track people. Drones. I commend the military. They are finding ways to manufacture their own drones to their own specifications,
right,
so that they can, employ them better. And then, but I will still say that beyond drones, there are satellites.
Okay.
So, because drones can do its work within a particular time frame. You send it out, if it's a 2-hour or 3 hours kind of drone, it goes and comes back. Within the time that is back, you relaunch another one, and maybe you keep doing that. But again, if you are operating at night, do they have the eyes to see people's faces? Because these guys are operating mostly at night.
Yeah.
So, but with satellites, what the satellite does is that everything you are doing is covering it. You leave your house to come and attack. You go back to your house, and after that attack, you wash up and you are going out. So even if they don't see your face in the night, they will see your face in the day.
So you are saying, of course, that satellites do better jobs than...
Yes, I know that there is a Renew Hope agenda to launch 4 satellites in this government. And we will just plead with Mr. President to please put the security one as a priority.
Okay, so let me ask you. So if we're going to have a satellite, will it be the satellite of the federal government, or is it the military or the police, or can we just use one satellite that the federal government controls so that everybody can get information from it? What would be your own suggestion?
Well, we don't even have the capacity to launch. Most times, we request other governments to help us to launch. I don't know if we have
Well,
now,
so
because I'm told that one of our satellites is being monitored or being handled by some foreign.
yeah. The reason why I brought that up was
Yes.
that I think just about a week ago, sitting on that chair, the former Minister for Communication, Barrister Adebayo Shitu, actually told us, everybody had it, that he actually wanted to buy, I think, about 3 satellites. Nigeria had one, but it wasn't working efficiently. Now, he regretted that memo didn't go very far. One of the things that he thought he could have done that he wasn't able to achieve. So in that plan, it was the federal government that will own the satellite. What I wanted to ask you is that if that is in place, would that be suitable for the military and the police to also access information from it? Or do they have to have their own control satellite?
Well, I know that we have what we call a Defense Space Agency.
Okay.
We have a SATCOM or something. I know the others and NASDA. They all have different degrees of functions that they do. One is communication, one is environmental, and so on. But the one for defense,
Right.
like what the US does, they just light up the field of operation. Their own satellite. They just beam it on the field of operation. So it's not like maybe they are to be shared or to be, even if it is the government that controls it,
Right.
at the point that they need to launch a satellite for operations,
Right.
they just put it, what they did in Iraq. It was even night was daylight in Iraq for them. They knew everywhere where the forces were, and they knew where to go at any specific time to direct troops and to, So if this kind of thing is engaged,
Right.
you just light up the field. Now, it first of all reduces waste of effort.
Right.
It makes you to gain speed to get things sorted out because
even intelligence.
Intelligence. So you are already seeing where the people are.
Yeah.
You already seen how they move out of their houses. You already see somebody. Oh, there's somebody who is strangely carrying a weapon here or something. Because the area view of the drone is limited.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But if it's satellite, for God's sake,
have it
okay, and that's why I say, look, if you don't have, approach federal government. How did they get Oka, the one that came to attack Eagle Square? It's, the whole thing that was done to get him was provided for the public to know that they got satellite image video of all the things that it took them 5 days to land in the vehicle before they moved the vehicle to Gwagwalada.
It was Oka.
The one that is undergoing trial in South Africa.
Oh, okay.
The one that wanted to that bombed.
Yes. Okay.
So
it was through the use of satellite.
Yes. So and up till the point that he got to Gwagwalada, the guy slept overnight before he now drove to Eagle Square. He didn't come early because a lot of vehicles had already parked close to Eagle Square. Otherwise, if he had gotten then. So these facilities are there. It's just that you are going to pay because you don't have. But if these 4 satellites that the federal government has embarked now, if priority is given to, then we can just pray that things will get better. Okay. Police, we even have satellite that can be projected over maybe North Central Nigeria, for example.
Okay.
And then you now have that situation where car number plates of criminals can be picked and you can follow them up to their houses.
Thank you so much. This is quite very useful. But because of our time, we have to conclude now. Thank you so much, Retired Major General Tony Atolagbe, for coming to Inside Sources, and thank you for your contributions each time you come, and the knowledge and the expertise that you have acquired. Thank you for your service to the country, and thank you for coming to Inside Sources. And there you have it. Another segment on the Plateau situation. We will keep an eye on it, and hopefully we'll get a headway. Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. At this segment, we want to continue the conversation that we had on Friday regarding the implications for Nigeria of this Trump tariffs that is all over the place. We started that conversation on Friday, and we are continuing today with Professor Nimi Wariboko, the Mueda Professor of Social Ethics in the Boston University in US. Prof, you are welcome back to Inside Sources.
Oh, thank you for having me back. I'm really grateful to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. So I wanted us to continue that conversation around, how Nigeria has been managing its own tariffs and how with this Trump new world order, how we might get some opportunities to do things differently, how it is that is a wake-up call. So I remember that you were talking about, the fact that for the most part, the way we manage our tariffs is essentially not in the public interest, that it's often used to protect certain businesses. So that's where I wanted to take it from, Prof, if you may.
Yes, thank you. Because the basis or the point of departure for that statement I made the last time I was here is to say that when we are talking about tariff in Nigeria, do we really understand the tariff within the context of Nigeria, not just some textbook notions of tariff that we have learned in our economic classes? So, and I would like to start from where I stopped to say, look, there are at least 5 major factors or pillars that we need to put in front of us when we are discussing tariff so that we properly understand it. Number 1 is that tariff in Nigeria, primarily from experience and from my historical analysis, they are not geared to benefit the economy. Tariffs are a feature of state capture. So what the ruling class have done in Nigeria is to protect their own and to rape the whole economy. So tariffs are imposed to create monopoly conditions for some certain individuals who contributed to political parties or who were in cahoot with the military when the military was in power. So we should understand tariff in that sense, that tariffs, as you know, have been used to create protected monopoly so that certain individuals can make money. Certain people in Nigeria who parade themselves as billionaires, who parade themselves as great entrepreneurs, and sometimes the press is celebrating them. Actually, they are not entrepreneurs and they are not capitalists. They are making money behind protected walls. If any one of us has been given the same privilege to make money behind protected tariff monopolistic walls, we also will be millionaires. So I just want to understand that. And the second point
before you go ahead, Prof, let me just make a point and then you take it off from there. Based on what you said, I recall that sometimes in this country, you had a situation where there was a major trade deal that had to be entered to by the country. And based on what happened at that time, the leaders in government and the leaders in business, especially the industrialists and the manufacturers in the country, everybody has agreed that, look, Nigeria should go ahead and enter into this deal. But it turns out that one very important industrialist, went behind the back of everybody to go and convince government leaders, not to go ahead with the deal. And, of course, it caused a bit of a disruption at that time, even though eventually it was signed. So that seemed to support what you have just said, that a lot of the times we even have business practices that are condoned, some of them in the name of tariffs that are essentially not in the public interest, that at times are the inordinate interests of some business people. Prof.
Yes, of course, what you just said is an example of state capture. It's an example of what political economists like Claude Ake said a long time ago, that in Nigeria, the major means of production, the major means of making money is access to the state. And so in analyzing Nigerian markets and Nigerian variant or version of capitalism, we must always bear that in mind, that the easiest way to make money is to capture an organ of the state, or is to capture the state as a whole and use it to create money and wealth for yourself, and to protect that wealth under all sorts of corrupt practices and government patronage, right? So that brings us to the point when a president or economists advise on putting tariff, the assumption is that the entrepreneurs or the producers in the country would recognize or will recognize the signals that prices will send. But in Nigeria, the question we need to ask ourselves, do prices actually function as signals for entrepreneurial decisions? And I would say, more often than not, prices do not function as signals for productive entrepreneurial decision. As long as you can get access to the state, as long as you can make money easily, then the whole idea of relying on tariff to signal where the government wants resources to be allocated or local industry to be encouraged is a wrong move, because prices do not actually function as signals for entrepreneurial decision. What functions as signals for entrepreneurial decision is your political connection, right? So that is one thing. The third way to look at the tariffs is that tariff will make sense if it is situated within a context of a serious industrial and national development policy. Therefore, tariff will become an instrument to achieve a certain national goals. But in Nigeria, as long as we don't have consistent national development or industrialization policy, the question we ask ourselves is that, are these tariffs really directed at achieving a particular purpose, or they are just ad hoc measures that the government is putting in place in reaction or in response to one event or the other, or in response to political donations? There are entrepreneurs in Nigeria that routinely during political campaign would donate $10 million to presidential candidates in the hope that they will get certain privileges. So tariffs or any other restrictions are not directed towards national policy. And another thing to understand, that when people impose tariff, right, they say tariffs is going to encourage local production. Tariffs is going to protect local jobs. But the thing about tariff is that while tariff may protect certain jobs, it will also take away jobs from other places, right? If you look at it from a wide economic point of view, anybody that tells you that tariffs straight away will always protect jobs is one-sided view. While it protects jobs in one sector, it may actually take jobs under place. And that is an empirical question that we can study and answer, rather than this knee-jerk reaction that automatically tariff will always help somebody. Now, we come to the fourth factor. The whole point of having tariff is to make the external goods coming in, the imports coming in, expensive, so that indigenous consumers will focus on local alternatives. That is the assumption, is that with the presence of the tariff, the local alternative will now become relatively cheaper. But we forgot that in Nigeria, there is a corruption charge. Because the country is so corrupt and the government officials are so corrupt, that even if we put tariff, by the time we we build in the effect of corruption, our prices will almost always be higher than what we'll get from outside, even with the imposition of the tariff. So that if we are going to seriously think about industrialization and using prices as signals to direct resources for the country, we need to take into account the effect of corruption. I was just talking with an entrepreneur a week ago, and she told me the business she wants to go in. She presented kind of on paper how much money she's going to make every 3 months. I just asked her a simple question. Did you build in corruption charge? That by the time you take account of corruption, maybe your own workers stealing your products or the government officials extorting you. Also, if you put all that aside, the business might not be profitable. So when we are talking about tariff, we shouldn't just look at it as a standalone matter. We should look at it in the context of the whole thing. And then finally, the way we should look at the tariff issue is to say, how will the tariff affect our well-being? Because people always say, oh, tariff national. When you are a government official or the president or somebody comes to talk about tariff, I want the average Nigerian to ask a primary question: how will that affect my well-being? Because let me tell you, the current president, President Tinubu,
yes.
I learned something from him through a friend long time ago, and I call it the Tinubu logic of looking at budget. A friend went to Tinubu. I think this was the time of President Goodluck.
Okay.
Or so, and the person was having discussion with Governor or Senator Tinubu. He was already out of the Senate, also. Ashwaju told him that, the budget the president made is very good. And Tinubu told my friend that the budget is not good. Then the friend turned around and asked him, sir, the budget is in the interest of the nation, and therefore it is good. I look at it from a national perspective. Tinubu turned around and told him, am I not a Nigerian? If the budget does not take care of my interests, it's not good. That if it's a national interest, I'm also a Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian national. The budget should take care of my interests. If I don't find where the budget takes care of my interests, it is therefore not a good budget. Now we may argue with that philosophy, but he said something that when government makes policy, we shouldn't be too emotional about it or explain it on ethnic basis, right? How, as an economic individual, how does it benefit you? Because the first axiom of economists is that the individual is a rational being. A rational being means that the person considers their interests and they want to maximize that interest. Given that, we should also apply the same Tinubu logic to President Tinubu when he makes a budget. When he comes out with a policy, we should always ask, how does it benefit me? If he says it's for the nation, we should ask him, wherever you are in Nigeria, it may be in Kafashan, it might be in Port Harcourt, it might be in Ibadan, how does that benefit me? Until we begin to hold our government and their policies to tax and look at it from how it benefits the average Nigerian, then we are not really ready to build an economy that will be there for the flourishing of every Nigerian.
Exactly. Very, very, very excellent point, Prof. And we can go on and on about some of the examples that many of it in the public domain, and some of it that some of us that have also served in government previously have seen. But I also wanted us to now look at what opportunities are provided, that Nigeria can take in this situation now where you have President Trump, basically commencing a trade war, although he has paused it for the most part. But specifically regarding Nigeria, the U.S. government actually said that there are about 25 products that Nigeria has imposed, what they describe as unjustified tariffs, in its relationship with the United States. So I wanted to ask you, Prof, what opportunity do you think exists, if there is, for Nigeria in this new Trump tariff world order? Are there any opportunities at all for us?
Yes, the first opportunity is that we should begin to say how do we direct our trade to look inwards in Africa, right? So because Africa is a big market, and if we nurture it very well, we can sell to other African countries or buy from other African countries, so that the threat of Trump coming into affecting us will not be realized, right? So how will we create the infrastructure in Nigeria so that Nigeria will become a manufacturing and trade hub, so that we can sell to other African countries and also to other parts of the world? Like I said, if you look at where Nigeria is situated, like in terms of transportation wide, in terms of global transportation, if we become a manufacturing hub, right, we're almost at this in the center of the earth, like between the east and the west, and therefore companies buying from us or producing in Nigeria and distributing will be cheaper than distributing in manufacturing in China and distributing across all the way to America. At least to some extent, where we are on a global basis, we have a lower transportation cost to take product from the point of manufacture to the point of consumption. And so these are the things that we need to do. We need to build that kind of infrastructure. We need to make Nigeria business friendly, that people can come and invest. And we need to invest in our people, because for companies to come and produce in Nigeria, we must have a very efficient and viable workforce. But unfortunately, our workforce is not as developed as how it should be. Unfortunately, our workforce is also corrupt, in the sense that businessmen and women will tell you that it's your workers that will kill your business. Of course, the workers are not acting in isolation. The government is also killing the workers. The government is also stealing from the people. The ruling class is also stealing from people. So until we tackle corruption, corruption is not merely a moral issue. It's an economic issue, and it's a national security issue. But I think that the ruling class is not really ready to industrialize. All what they have been talking about is lip service. I don't think the Nigerian ruling class want to institute a proper market system that will promote economic development. What everyone is interested is how to get to the center or to the state house and loot. So, but yeah, this is a great opportunity. Now, we must also be very careful. Trump did not impose tariff on oil, right? So he may well do that at some point. And so the question is, are we ready if America is not buying Nigerian oil anymore? Have we looked for sources outside the United States to sell our oil? Or do we even have a plan to use the oil internally? Why are we still dependent on exporting oil when we could set up if our economy is growing? I think the amount of oil we are producing, we will consume it for our energy needs in the country. We don't need to export. But that means that we are converting the oil into some kind of products or investment that will then export to the rest of the world to make money. But right now, the way Nigeria is, we're still at the mercy of Trump. As of today, if he stops the importation of oil into petroleum, it's going to affect our budget. It's going to affect us. But this is the time for a very serious government to begin to plan for a change. It is never too late. It is never too late to start. It's never too late for Nigerian government to invite the best of our citizens abroad to come back to harness their power and do something. But unfortunately, I don't see the governments in Nigeria at the state level, at the federal level, really tackling corruption and really focus on industrialization and making everybody believe that they are Nigerians, that we equally matter, not because we are from one ethnic group and therefore you have a preference in getting jobs, in getting contracts, in getting appointments.
Okay, Prof.
So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, but I wanted us to, as we conclude, you are an academic in the United States. There's also been a lot of tension, growing in the United States between the Trump administration and its policies and the academic world. There has been a pushback from the federal government of the United States in terms of the funding of even private universities like Columbia University, and I have observed quite a bit of very weak response from the academia in the United States until last week when Harvard actually stood up to the president and said that, look, you don't tell us what we teach, and we're private universities, you can keep the federal funds. I wanted to ask you, Prof, you are a professor right there, is it that the Americans don't know how to fight? Because one of the things that I noticed is that it seems that Nigerians have more experience with repression and the level of intellectual autonomy, academic autonomy that one would have expected in the USA with these Trump repressive policies. I've not seen it compared to here in Nigeria, where, the academic staff will knock out the government if they come up with any such policies. What's your take? Last question, Prof.
Yeah, but in Nigeria, because it's not that we are better created, we have more fighting force. We've been in a mess and suffering for so long that it has come beyond our nostrils. The water has been. So we've learned to fight just to survive.
Yeah.
It's like in Nigeria those days, an Ajibota child and the normal child that grew up on the street.
Yes.
So the Ajibota child would not know what is happening, but the child that grew up on the street would see a fight coming and get ready for it and to hit the knockout blow.
Punch.
But what has happened to the American system is what the Japanese call the story of the frog. That if you put a frog in water and continuously boil the water, you will keep the temperature will be rising and the frog will be dead.
Die.
But if you throw him at once to hot water, this frog will jump out. So I think the American capitalist system and the federal funding, even when they are private institutions, have lured the American institution, even the Ivy League universities to go to sleep, and Trump are just working them up. And places like Columbia, my alma mater, I was shocked that they caved in so quickly. And I was happy that Harvard stood up. Yes, Harvard is going to pay a price. They're going to pay a cost, but somebody needed to stand up. And last night, I saw a news flash and needed to confirm it, that somebody in the White House sent a note that, the letter that was sent to Harvard was a mistake. The letter that demanded those things was a mistake. We need to learn more about it to
know exactly what is happening
going forward. So that would mean that by standing up to him, maybe the government is looking for a retreat. That's why they say, the letter was sent out in a mistake. As a mistake.
Thank you.
So there is hope for America. I don't want anybody to give up on the democratic spirit of America.
Thank you.
Americans will stand up and fight. And as the King James Bible always, I like King James translation, it came to pass. Even Trump will come to pass.
Even Trump will come to pass. Well, thank you so much. I was just, trying to put the word out that if the Americans need help fighting, we are here in Nigeria. We have a lot of experience how to resist bad governance. And to your very last point, there's an Arabian proverb that said that they asked Pharaoh. They said, Pharaoh, what happened to you? Why were you? How did you become a tyrant? And Pharaoh responded and said, nobody stopped me. So I am glad that Harvard has stood up. Just like Nigerian academics, we always stand up against resistance. Thank you so much, Professor Waribuku, for your contributions, and thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail because we won't stop. We will continue to talk about the issues. Thank you for watching, and happy Resurrection Weekend and happy holidays to all of you out there. Thank you so much. My name is Laolu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you again at the next edition.